about a week to week and a half is what we'll be covering on different kinds of projects, guys. Okay, I will give you a quick idea of what is the final project, healthcare project, the finance or the banking project, and the project in the telecom domain. These are things that I will give you a quick idea in a bit as we continue here, guys. So this is a quick look at a slightly high level, but if you dig deep into it, here is, let me just zoom this up. Here is the first module, guys, and that's the big data and Hadoop, and here are the detailed contents of the cluster architecture project and a telecom project. This is what I have right now, guys. Okay, so team can go ahead and share this on this course content for you guys, and we can go ahead and go from there. And what we'll do is, before we get into a formal discussion of what is big data and Hadoop, I'm gonna ask a couple of you guys to go ahead and introduce yourself. So anyone, can anyone volunteer? Idea, guys, if you can just come on air real quick. If you can come on the air, okay. I'll unmute you here. You can give a brief introduction about yourself. Any volunteers? You can just type in a Y in the chat window and I'll unmute you. Great. Durga Pawan Garpati. Let me see, how's Durga doing today? There is it. Okay, Durga, you're on air.
Yeah, Durga. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Durga, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Pawan. Yeah, and I'm working as a PHP web developer for almost five plus years. Present, I'm working in Australia. Right. And I've been working in UK and India and Australia. Right now, present, I'm in Australia. So I'm thinking to learn big data and just to move on to the big data because I want to move for future.
Gotcha.
Thing.
Very good. Very good.
That's it for now. And for now, I'm working on a PHP as a PHP web developer, both front end and back end as a full stack. So I work like HTML, AngularJS, and everything.
I see. So that's very good. So it looks like you're already into a little bit of PHP programming and AngularJS and things like that. So it's like saying you're already into, let me say, you're an athlete and you want to get into IPL and you want to get into cricket and things like that. How about that?
It's actually, I tried to learn, like, not sure about which is the best one, either functional or otherwise the administration in big data, because functional requires at least a core Java. That's what they told, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
And I'm thinking to learn both, but for now I'm just going for the administration.
Gotcha. Okay. So here we're going to be focusing more on developer rather than administration, Pawan.
That's good. That's good for me.
That's very good. So again, even if you're on a functional side, there's per se nothing like functional side. Generally, what happens is in Hadoop world, if you have about 10 developers, about 2 to 3 of them are required to know Java. Not everybody is required to know Java and things like that. In most of the cases, it is a non-technical, non-programmers who are getting into the world of big data and things like that has been my observation. Pawan. So it is not a must. But however, if you're interested in Java and things like that, core concepts, if you're able to catch up, I will go ahead and have a few sessions for the Java MapReduce and the advanced Java MapReduce here. And we'll try to understand the inner workings of them.
Oh, yeah, sure. Please. Thank you.
Cool. Great. So it looks like you're having some fun. Australia, UK, and India, and you're right now in Australia. How's Australia, Pawan?
Yeah, it's very good. And right now the time is 1:30 in the morning.
1:30 midnight. Oh, okay.
That's midnight.
So is that okay with you? Aren't you sleeping? Shouldn't you be sleeping at this time?
Yeah, sleeping time, but it's fine. That's next.
Okay. So you're doing a little bit of sacrifice there. Sacrifice always pays. So that's very good. Sacrificing a little bit for knowledge, and you'll get You'll have its own benefits. So very good to know about you, Pawan. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. So allow me to put you back on mute. So gentlemen, ladies, that is Pawan, guys. He's PHP developer, about 5 years of experience. And looks like he's flying all over the world, man. US, UK, what is that? Australia, UK, and India. All right. He's having fun. We'll stop it there. We'll get back here. Let's see how Srinivas Thunu Guntla. Okay, let me see Srinivas. Okay, Srinivas, you're on air, buddy.
Hi, this is Srinivas.
Hey, go ahead, Srinivas. Yeah. Go ahead, Srinivas.
Yeah, I'm in Bangalore working in HP as a TIPCO developer. Past 3 years. And 2013 passed BTech.
I see. Wonderful.
So, yeah, I chose big data Hadoop because I see a future in data, as everything is data. So
Very good.
So I want to be going into big data and seeing a future with it.
Excellent. I think you're on the right track. Everybody's talking about IPL, and you don't want to stick on to hockey or other games. So and they're good, but IPL is more popular today, so why not get into it? Won't you, Srinivas?
Yeah.
Good, buddy. Outstanding. So you see a good future, and yes, data is everywhere, guys. Wherever you go, that is the final message that I'm about to pass. But it looks like it's already, you have already stated that, which is good. And knowing how to play around with the data, especially in the world of big data, is very, very valuable today. And I think you're on the right track, Srinivas. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good, buddy. I appreciate that. Allow me to put you back on mute here so that we can proceed. Okay. You have any question?
Yeah. Are we going to cover Scala also on this?
Scala? No. Scala is part of Spark, Srinivas.
Yeah, I thought we have a couple of sessions over Spark.
Couple of sessions for Spark. Acceptable. Okay. I can definitely consider that, Srinivas, if that is what you need.
Because I'm getting suggestions from friends or the colleagues saying that it got outside and it's good to know something about Spark. So that's the only put in front of you.
Okay, excellent. I think that's a fair enough thing. So, okay, I will definitely, come back and revisit my course, and I'll try to add a couple of sessions on Spark and Scala. Srinivas, okay?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Okay. Let's see. So let's see. Okay, so that is Srinivas, guys. So those are a couple of folks from today. Hadoop admin, I'm not going to go too deep into Hadoop admin, Suman. This is mostly, I will be going over Hadoop developer only. Hadoop admin is slightly, a bunch of concepts are different, but it's not possible for me to cover those things, although I can cover them. But about 60 to 70% I will be covering. The rest of the 30% or 40% cannot be accommodated into this one right away. Okay, guys, as you have more and more questions, please feel free to type in. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get started and try to get a feel of, what is big data and things like that here today. So give me 1 second while I bring this up. So that's our Hadoop. Let's come here. Okay. Just adjust my screen. Okay. All right, guys. So let's get started here. We'll first try to understand what is big data, guys. Okay. So before we actually go ahead and try to learn cricket, we'll try to understand some of the main concepts in cricket and what is the problem the cricket or the IPL is solving and things like that is what we'll try to understand. So let's see what we have here, guys. Okay. So imagine, gentlemen, ladies, this is where this is the dawn of the time, and this is 2003. This is the timeline. And imagine if one of us were to go ahead and take all the documents, all the documents which were handwritten by, the human civilization. If we were to digitize it, it would end up being 5 exabytes, guys. Okay, let's try to understand what's 5 exabytes. Cool. So let's come here. 1 terabyte equals to 1000 gigabytes. Then comes 1 petabyte, which equals to 1000 terabytes, and then comes 1 exabyte, which equals to 1000 petabytes, guys. Okay, so that is what a petabyte is. I'm sure, and I hope you all understand what is a gigabyte, guys. But that's how much it is. So if we were to digitize the entire data that the mankind has generated right from the beginning of 2003 till 2003, that's about 5 exabytes, guys. Okay, but what is happening here is what is happening. In the year 2012, about 2.7 zettabytes of data has been generated, guys. Okay, what that means is, come here. Okay, so what's happening is, in the year 2012, so 1 exabyte equals to 1000 petabytes, and then comes 1 zettabyte, which equals to 1000 exabytes, guys. Okay, and in just 1 year we have generated about 2.7 zettabytes. What that means is, another look at it is, imagine this dot is about 5 exabytes of data. Okay, the dot is about 5 exabytes of data, guys. Okay, what happened in the year 2012 is, in just 1 year we have generated that amount of data. The amount of data that we have generated is not double, triple, 10 times or 100 times, but it is exponentially huge, guys. Okay, that is what is happening today. We are generating exponential amounts of data. It seems, starting from the year 2012, starting from the year 2012, every 2 days, if you were to take 2 days of timeline here, what is happening? We are generating 5 exabytes of data. That is what is happening, guys. Okay, but let's see. So where is this data coming from? Where is this data coming from? Well, gentlemen, ladies, we have a new kid in the block. We have a new kid in the block, guys. Okay, let's try to understand who that kid is. That kid is database. Oh, I'm sorry. That kid is the internet, guys. Okay, so let me go ahead and delete that. Let me select this one. That kid is your internet. And what do you have on your internet? Well, there's YouTube, there's Facebook, there's Flickr. Governments are opening up their records. IoTs are opening up their data, putting it onto internet and other servers. Okay, all the data is unstructured. Okay, and you have the Facebook, Twitters, your social networking sites, your mobile data generating lots of data and things like that, guys. Okay, they're all unstructured data. But what is unstructured data? Well, imagine this is a database. What is the database? Well, database, come here, select that, come here. That's the database. Traditionally, applications were getting the data from database, guys. Okay, so let me go ahead and see if I can put this here. And what was happening? Well, here's what was happening, guys. Okay, let's go ahead and say, select that, come here. What was happening was, the traditional way of dealing with the database and the data. First, if you imagine you have a database, you have a table called, customers in the data. What would you have? Well, imagine you have ID, you have name, and you have a bunch of other columns, guys. Okay, so you'd have that kind of a table in a database, and then what else would you have? Well, you'll have relationships, you will have the constraints, and other kinds of things. So what is that? That is called schema. In other words, when we know the schema, that is when we call it a structured data. Or in other words, the data in the database is generally referred as structured data, guys. Okay, what traditionally companies were doing is, come here, they were, imagine they are developing a web application or a Windows application. They would go ahead and develop multiple applications. So let's come here. Let's say this is another one. And let's go ahead and come here. Say, choose that one. Put that. And what do we have? Well, let's come back here and choose this. Come here. And this is where you have your end users. What do the end users do? Well, they're going to get the data from the database. And what is this? Well, this is your data access layer. If it's a traditional web application, and with an entire architecture or a service-oriented architecture, you would have something like a data access layer. Then you will have something like a business logic layer. Then you'll have something like a service layer. And then this is your UI layer. Your UI layer is your maybe a browser or a Windows application, things like that, guys. Okay. So what was happening? Well, traditionally users are looking at their data. The data is coming from the database. Okay. These were the different layers that traditionally programmers will build. And what do users do? Well, imagine they go ahead and they come out with, they're probably looking at a report. And what do they get? Well, from the report, they try to understand some insights. Okay. And from the insights, they'll try to make some decisions, guys. Okay. So what's an example of an insight? Imagine this is a retail company, and the user is looking at the report, and what are they noticing? They're noticing that most of the sales are being made during the weekends. That is one insight. And it looks like there are particular age groups who are making most of the purchases, guys. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, imagine, for the sake of simplicity, it's the teenagers who are making most of the purchases during weekends. So what do? Well, they want to come up with some decisions. What's happening? Well, they may come up with a decision and say, okay, since teenagers are making most of the purchases, let's go ahead and make purchase and maybe focus on other age groups. Or maybe to increase the sales, we'll give more discounts. We'll continue to give the discounts and continue to increase our sales and things like that. What is that? That is decisions, guys. Okay. That's an example of a decision. It's coming from inside. Okay. But what's happening? These decisions are being made from the database. What is the database? The database is like the rivers of the world, guys. Okay. What is rivers of the world? In the rivers, there's about 10% of the water in the world, right? If you take all the data in the databases in the world, it seems it's about 10 to 20% of the data. What's happening? There's a new kid in the block. Who's that? That is your internet and other sources of data. Here, well, your internet and your other sources of data can be thought of as the seas and the oceans, guys. Okay, what's happening here? Well, imagine your company is a fisherman. What are the companies doing? The companies are trying to get insights from where? From rivers. Okay, it's like trying to get the fish from the rivers. They're going to the rivers and they're finding the fish. Then they're using the fish to make decisions. They're using insights to make decisions. We use the fish to make money and things like that, guys. Okay, so big data is giving, well, the promise that the big data is giving is, if you can find fish in rivers, there's a lot of fish you can find in the seas and oceans. What is that? That is your internet. What's happening on internet? There's your YouTube, there's your Facebook, there's your IoT data, government data, and you name it, in many what is it? Well, come here. Facebook is, Twitter is exposing, and there are other sites which are exposing their data in other formats, guys. Okay, so that is what is happening. And what's the problem? Well, we do not know what is the parent, what is the child, what is the column name, or anything like that. The schema, that is when we call it as unstructured data, guys. Okay, when you know the schema, you exactly know what to build, how to build, and how to get the insights. But when you do not know about anything, how do you get the insights? Well, that is what is the problem, guys. Okay, so what's happening? Well, that's the data on the internet and other sources of data, which is unstructured. That is like the seas and oceans of the world, guys. Okay, that is what it is. Okay, another important thing, guys, is this one. When we compare this dot and we say the entire mankind generated that amount of data up to 2003, and this is the data that we are generating right from 2012, what that means is, guys, at a fundamental level, come here, what is happening? we are looking at a volume of data which is exponentially huge. Why? Because everybody's getting onto the internet, everybody's opening up their data and putting it on the internet and things like that. What's happening? It's exponentially huge, guys, okay? It is unimaginable. That's what we mean by exponentially, guys, okay? And when we say every 2 days, we are creating the amount of data that the entire mankind has generated, what we mean is, that's where it comes in velocity. The velocity, the speed at which, the rate at which we are generating the data is, again, unimaginably huge or exponentially huge, guys, okay? And the fact that we have on the internet, the seas and oceans have become the new kid in the block. That's where we can get a lot of data. We can get a lot of insights and things like that, guys, okay? But what is happening? You have XML, you have JSON, you have other kinds of data. What is that? That is referred as a variety of the data. So at a high level, what is big data? Big data is generally referred in the context of the 3 weeks. Big data equals to V plus V plus V equals to 3 V's. Okay, guys? And what is volume? Again, as I said, it's exponential amounts of data that we started getting generated. Why? Because everybody is getting onto internet. Everybody started using mobile phones and things like that. That is ending up in generating unimaginable amount of data at an unimaginable amount of speed, and lots of varieties there, guys, okay? Apart from these 3 V's, we also have a few more V's such as value, veracity, and things like that. We'll get into those things a little later, guys, okay? But at a high level, that is what is big data, guys, okay? What's happening? That's your seas and oceans. What we are telling is the companies are like the fishermen. We are telling, if you can find fish in rivers, which is the database, which is the insights in the from the data in the database, you can find a lot more fish in the seas and the oceans. But what is the problem? The complexity increases. Rivers are much more stable, much more slow, and things like that, whereas seas and oceans are much complex. You have storms going on, you have lots of big